go. All right. So let me just start start the reel and introduce today's session, which is Building Your Personal Video Library by Frank W. Solak. Frank would like to ask that you drop questions at any time in the chat box or raise your hand to speak. Chat questions will be answered at the end. Please do make sure that everybody gets a chance to ask questions. The Easter egg for the Easter egg hunt will be announced at the end of the session. Now, can I please ask everybody to unmute their mics and give a round of applause for Mr. Frank?
So kind.
All right.
Okay,
Take
well,
it away, Frank.
all right, thank you very much. So first, thank you all for being here. It's a real honor to be here to share some of my experiences with you today. I'll give you the 45-second biography. So my name is Frank Solak. I graduated from university years ago. I don't want to say. It's been a lot. And since I started my teaching career, I have taught science to elementary students. I've been a teacher trainer in Gangwon province in Korea. I've taught public speaking at universities. I've taught American history in the United States. I've taught world history in China. I have taught a lot of different subjects to a lot of different ages, levels, what have you. I think at this point I have taught pretty much every age from kindergarten to post-secondary, and I've taught every subject from social studies to EFL to public speaking, and even a very, very unsuccessful geometry class. So in that time, there's a few tricks that I've picked up. And one of those things that I have had a tremendous amount of success with has been with making my own personalized videos. And that's what I wanted to share with all of you today. Now, before I show you some examples, I thought I would start with a little bit of my reasoning behind this and a little bit of my philosophy. And my philosophy is very simple. I can sum it up in one sentence. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I know a lot of people, some newer teachers who sometimes even get a little burned out in their first year, first 2 years, because they feel like they need to create all this material. I know that flipped classrooms are very, very popular right now. And I have personally experienced people that are new to a job and just work themselves to a frazzle trying to create all of this material all right at the beginning. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, I've known people who've been teaching for a very long time and are very put off, are very apprehensive about delving into new technology, new multimedia approaches to education. And I understand both of those points of view, that you can look at a project and say, wow, this is just too much to possibly do a great job of. Or you could say, is this like, well, I'm just not comfortable with this. I don't want to do this. And to both of those people, I try to always say, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. That you can do something and get a lot out of it, even if it isn't amazing. I think that you guys can tell from my background that I'm not some sort of audio visual prodigy. That I think it's very ironic that I'm in the 21st century skills category of this conference, and yet I do feel like a lot of my skills are kind of stuck in 1998. Now, so just to give you some context, when I was a teacher trainer in Gangwon province many years ago, part of my job was preparing people to live abroad. So my job was that Korean public school teachers would come to our school and spend 4 months with us, and then they would spend 2 months living abroad. And my specific job there was to help them prepare for that transition so that it would be as successful and as smooth as possible. So you could say I sort of taught a culture class. And so every week I focused on something different, whether it was work culture or meeting new people or going to a party. And so each week I started with a little video, and we would watch the video together, and they would try to guess, like, okay, well, what's the topic this week? And then I would have them pick out, what vocabulary did I use? What slang did I use? And I would use that short video as a jumping off point for the entire week's classes. And I'd like to share one of those videos with you right now. And I really want to highlight to you that that this isn't going to be perfect. Like, don't prepare yourself for something Wes Anderson beautiful. This is a very primitive start. But so speaking of primitive, let me see if I can use my computer skills. I'm going to share my screen with you now. And I'd just like you guys to enjoy this 1-minute video. Thanks for helping me today, guys.
No problem, Frank. We're glad we can help.
So what are we making?
Scrambled eggs.
Oh, great. Let's do it.
Pass me that knife so I can cut up these onions.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Is this pan clean?
Yes, but could you rinse it in the sink for me?
Okay.
While you do that, I'll break open these eggs.
Do you leave the yellows in?
Typically, I take out about half the yellows.
That's fine.
Okay, pan is all rinsed. Hey, Lawton, pass me those onions so I can saute them.
Just finished. Have at it.
All right.
So, I put the extra yolks into a cup. You can drink them later.
Oh boy, cholesterol!
Somebody pass me the spatula.
Here you go.
Frank, that's a whisk.
This is a spatula.
Thank you.
I hope you guys like lots of pepper in your eggs.
Mmm.
They're finished.
Yummy!
Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed that, and probably you noticed some of its flaws. At the very beginning, you might have heard the cameraman say action. I was not able to figure out how to edit that out. I worked on it for like 30 minutes and I couldn't do it, so I just gave up. Notice that it's all just one continuous shot. There aren't multiple camera angles. There are not edits or cuts of any kind. Like, that is not a beautiful video. Like, there's a reason I didn't submit to our filmmaking competition for this conference. But it's funny, it's cute. I got my friends to help me make it, and it definitely caught the attention of my students in the class. That it's like, well, here's me. And I think that everybody who teaches EFL and really almost teaches anything where speaking is a big component, they know that a big hurdle to overcome is just people don't want to look silly. They don't want to make mistakes. They don't want their teacher, their classmates to hear them being anything less than perfect. And this was a weekly way for me to show my students myself being imperfect, making mistakes, being a little silly. Is it's like, see, we don't have to all be perfect. The important thing is that we're trying. And this video that I made more than 8 years ago, I used in my class last week. So right now, among other projects, I'm teaching an EFL class at a university in Beijing. And I still take this video from so many years ago, and I use it as a listening skills building activity where my students listen to it and answer some questions and then try to take out some of the specific words and phrases from it and make it into a conversation about cooking. And that's what I mean when I titled this workshop, Building Your Personal Video Library. That I made this video years ago for a very specific purpose. But even back then, I kept it in my head. You notice that there are very few proper nouns in it. There's nothing in it that specifically referenced my class, my students, or a time or a place. Because I was cognizant from the very beginning of this project that I wanted these videos to be useful in perpetuity. So I didn't look at the camera and say, hello, class of 2012, or I didn't say, good morning, Frank's culture class at the Gongwon International Language Institute. No, nothing like that. That it's extremely generic. All of the introduction for it, I can do in class, or I could even do in a text message if I wanted to. The video itself is very generic. So whether I was using it to teach culture to Korean public school teachers, whether I'm using it to teach EFL to Chinese university students, it's still applicable. I can still use it. And I didn't kill myself. I didn't knock myself out. I didn't make 100 of these. I made about a dozen of these that first year. And I'd say that I've kept that pace up since then. I've made anywhere between some years 5 or 6, some years 15 to 20. And I would say that now, comfortably, I have a library of 100 to 150 of these little videos on just a wide range of topics. When I was teaching at a Korean university, one of the classes I taught was public speaking. And I did this again. I made a series of videos where I just asked some of my friends to make some mistakes. So let me go ahead and share one of those videos with you right now. And just like I asked my students, I'd like you to watch and tell me, what do these speakers do wrong? What are they doing wrong in this video?
Hi, I'm Mesky. Hi, I'm Steve. Hey, Steve, do you know about Russia?
I know a little bit about Russia.
It's huge.
It's very big.
It's the biggest country in the world.
Bigger than Canada.
Bigger than Canada. Do you know what they eat in Russia?
They eat a soup called borscht.
Borscht? What is it made of? I don't even know.
It's made from beef.
Okay, now I don't want to bore you through the entire thing, so now let me switch to a different video in this series.
Hi, my name is Chris. I want to tell you about Germany. Germany is a large country in Europe. The capital of Germany is...
And another example.
Hi, my name is B. I want to tell you about Germany. Germany is a large country in Europe. The capital of Germany is Berlin, but my favorite city is Munich. Angela Merkel is the leader of Germany, and I think she's a great politician. Germany has beautiful beaches.
Okay, so as you can see in those examples, they were making a lot of mistakes. And so then I would stop and ask the students, is this like, okay, so in the first video with Brent and Steve, what are they doing wrong? And, you know, I'd prompt the students to give me their answers. And of course, like, oh, well, Brent is being much, much too loud and Steve is being much, much too quiet. It's like, okay, thank you. Now, how about Chris? Was Chris's perfect or not perfect? Of course, it's not perfect. He's just reading from a paper and he's covering his face. Not a good idea. Okay, how about Sean? Is Sean's perfect? Yes or no? No, it's not. He doesn't have any energy. He's looking down at the floor. He's just reading. He's mispronouncing words. So I would ask them, like, how many of those mistakes did you notice? And then, of course, this I used, I would have them do this activity over the course of a class before I had them prepare their own informative speech and tell them, it's like, okay, now remember, don't be too loud like Brent. Don't be too quiet like Sean. Don't just read like Chris. Practice first, not like Sean. You don't want to mispronounce a lot of words when you're saying them in English out loud for the first time. And then, of course, I also had one example of someone doing a pretty good job so that they could see, like, okay, and this is kind of what I'm looking for from your presentation.
Hi, my name is B. I want to tell you about Germany. Germany is a large country in Europe. The capital of Germany is Berlin, but my favorite city is Munich. Angela Merkel is the leader of Germany, and I think she is a great politician.
And just like I believe for my own self, I tell my students, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Even in my example of someone doing a great job, they still needed to look down at their notes a little bit. They still had trouble with a couple of the words. I tell my students, we're not trying to be perfect. We're not going for a flawless presentation. We're trying to go for, when we're public speaking, we're trying to go for pretty good eye contact with the audience. We're trying to go with a degree of comfort, good volume, good pronunciation, good pacing, not perfect volume, not perfect pacing. We're not obsessed with that. And these videos were very quick and easy for me to produce. And again, I made them for a public speaking class so that students could discuss like, okay, what was wrong with this one? What was wrong with that one? But now I use them in an EFL context, and I just have students sort of like discuss the videos, discuss the material in the videos. And over the years, I have been also getting a little bit better at editing. Now, also recently, a couple years ago, well, not a couple years ago, but my whole life, I've always loved traveling. And I'm very lucky. I have a beautiful and talented wife, and she shares a passion for traveling. And a couple years ago, we were on vacation, and I realized, wow, this is such an incredible place to be. I should make a video here. So when I'm traveling and I'm anywhere interesting, I like to make little quick videos. So let me go ahead and share one of those with you briefly.
Hi, today I'm at the ruins of Abu Simbel, the temple of Ramses II, one of the most amazing sites left behind by the great pharaoh Ramses II. And that's really saying something because he was one of the most prolific builders of the New Kingdom. Now, this specific site was built to mark the southern border of his empire. South of here were the Nubian people in the kingdom of Kush.
Okay, I won't make you suffer through the entire video. So, you know, my wife and I were in Africa, in Egypt specifically, and we were visiting all these amazing sites. And I was just like, oh, well, what a waste. I should make little videos. I didn't even know what I wanted to do with them at that time. Just recorded some quick 60-second videos of me in front of something interesting. And then I could use them in my world history class. Is this like, well, if we're talking about Egypt for homework, I can have students watch these videos of me at different Egyptian sites, some from ancient Egypt, some from modern Egypt, and give them some questions to answer about them. The students, I'll go ahead and set modesty aside. I'll say that the students enjoy watching the videos with their teacher in them. It makes them very personalized. It means that you can be very specific about what part of history you want to be highlighting. And I produced a pretty good series of these videos for my history class. But again, now I am back in the EFL classroom, and these videos are still useful for me. They still form good listening homework when I want the students to just practice their listening skills. Or if I tell the students I want them to do an informative speech, it's like, okay, well, here, watch this video of me in Amman, in Jordan, talking about the government there. As it's like, use this as an example for making your own video. Because even now, I don't start my videos with any kind of introduction or any kind of identifiable information. I'm not addressing a specific class, a specific age group, a specific person. So as my career evolves and changes and has ups and downs, wherever I am, if I'm in the United States, Korea, or China, if I'm teaching history or EFL or some specific public speaking, the videos are still very useful. Now, my newest challenge to myself, up until now, almost all of my videos have just been one shot, no cut, no real editing videos. But I've decided I have enough of a library now that rather than focusing on making new ones, I can focus on making better ones. And I've been starting to teach myself to edit and to improve upon them. So let me just share one more You only have to be subjected to my videos one more time. And this is one of my newer creations. Here we go.
Hi, I'm here at the stunning Daphne Monastery outside the city of Athens in Greece. This place has had an incredible history. Over 2,000 years ago, there was a temple built here to the Greek god Apollo. That temple would be destroyed in the 4th century when the Goths invaded Greece. This area was then empty for a short time. Then, in the 7th century, a Byzantine monastery was built here. Now that monastery would
Really
last
skip to the
until
end a
Middle
little bit.
Today, a museum honoring the Middle Byzantine period and its incredible artistic accomplishments. I hope someday everybody gets a chance to see places like this.
Okay, now you can see that it's still far, far, far from perfect, that I have not become an editing master in these last 6 months, but I've learned how to split screen and add in maps and add in videos. Recently, I visited the Terracotta Warriors in Xi'an in central China, and I wanted to make a video, but it was so loud that I just couldn't record a video. But of course, in China, as in most of the world, we wear masks all day long. And so I just had my wife take footage of me standing in front of the Terracotta Warriors, wearing a mask, gesturing and moving my head, but not actually saying anything. And I've been working on that video recently, and I'm just dubbing in everything. So that I have the actual footage of me at the Terracotta Warriors, but I can now record it in quiet in my own home. And again, this is just about building stuff up. I don't make a lot of these. Some months I make 0. But over the course of a very long period of time, I have built up a really big library that I can sort of use for almost anything that I feel like, whether I want to use it as EFL listening homework or just examples of public speaking, or when I'm actually teaching a subject, I can use them as very specific subject material. Now, I actually realized I told a lie because I have one last video that one of the things that I've also been working on is I sort of realized, hey, I have a pretty interesting life. I go to a lot of interesting places, but do you know what really makes my life interesting? I have a lot of interesting friends. I'm really lucky to know people with diverse backgrounds and diverse skill sets and different expertise. So I've started expanding and filming little interviews or little conversations with people on specific topics. I recently did a 10-minute interview with a friend of mine whose PhD is in Chinese literature. And I use that as a listening activity for my students because even though they may not know all of the vocabulary, it's something that they already have a fair amount of background in, that these students in high school learned a good bit about these great works of Chinese literature. And so now for them to listen to me interviewing an American expert on Chinese literature, it's like, okay, they know these proper nouns, they know these sources, they know these subjects. And I'm like, okay, but now tell me, you understood him say the title of that. What did he think about it? Can you tell me, what did he say about this character, this time period, this emperor? Now that one's too long, but let me just show you a short one I did in Egypt.
Frank,
while I was there.
Sorry to interrupt you, but there's a little black bar at the top of your videos. That's probably like a box or something. Could you move that when you play your video?
Sure. Let me know if it's gone.
Okay.
Is it gone?
Yes, it's gone.
Haha, great.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Frank. Today, we are at the Mosque of Muhammad Ali in the Cairo Citadel in the city of Cairo, Egypt. And this is the largest mosque ever built to originally be a mosque. But Michael, could you tell us more about what a mosque is?
A mosque is much like a temple or a cathedral for the Islamic religion. People gather here on Fridays for prayers and services for their religious practices. As you can see behind us, many mosques can be quite extravagant and feature these tall towers called minarets, where you will hear the call to prayer 5 times a day.
Huh, well, that's very interesting. Thank you for talking to me today, Michael.
You're welcome, Frank. High five.
There you have it. So, I just realized that not only can I have little role plays going on, not only can I stand in front of the camera and talk about things, but I'm lucky enough that I have friends with their own little interest sets, their own little backgrounds that they can contribute information to. So now I'm working on building up a nice little collection of sometimes very short. That one was only 1 minute, sometimes a little longer, up to 10 minutes, but little interviews that I'm trying to build up. And I have gotten great feedback from my students on this, that they're very, it catches their attention, of course, to see me doing something silly, doing something wacky. I'm not going to lie, it's also kind of a good suck up to the boss move. It's, that I'm telling you that I've made these over the past 10 years, but I try to not lie, but I may have suggested to a couple different principals and vice principals that's like, oh, no, I made these for this school. I made these for this class. Yes. So it's like, oh, wow, this guy, what a workaholic, what a machine this guy is. He makes so much material for his students. He makes so much material for his classes. So it makes you look like someone who knows what you're doing, even when, like me, you only kind of know what you're doing. And it can be very, it can give you a lot of confidence. It can give you a lot of comfort when you're coming into a new job, a new school, even a totally new subject. And you know that you already have like this library of stuff, this library of material that you can draw upon. I think that we all face that frustration of getting like a new textbook, and you already have stuff prepared for your old textbook. But if you make sure that you keep it fairly generic, you pretty much just play the videos in a new order, and you can do it for any subject, any textbook, any level, any school. And so that is pretty much my whole spiel. I want to take a moment now. Does anyone have any questions that maybe I could address that on, oops, wait a minute. Does anyone have any questions about how I make these, or is there anything that I could be more clear about perhaps, or anything you would like me to go into more detail? Okay.
I have one question, and this is kind of technical, but I am actually just wondering, where do you keep all of these videos? Because you must have a lot, it must take up a lot of space now. And so do you have them all on like one hard drive that you keep under lock and key, or do you have them in a cloud and on a hard drive? Like, how do you, I would be terrified of losing them all after making them all. What do you do?
I definitely firmly believe to not keep all my eggs in one basket. Actually, I had a little bit of a personal tragedy last month. I accidentally destroyed my external hard drive where they were all kept. Like, I had all of my videos on that. And after a lot of profanity, I calmed down and I was able to sort of put the whole collection back together. A lot of my newer ones are only on my phone, which is stupid. But I do keep them. I try to always keep everything in 2 places. So whether it's my phone and my computer, or my computer and a USB, or ideally my computer and my external hard drive, I make sure that everything exists in 2 places. When possible, I use the cloud, and I've actually started a YouTube channel which only has 4 followers. It's not about, I'm not trying to become a social media maven. It's just a great place for me to keep all of my videos where I know that YouTube probably isn't going to drop its external hard drive and smash it. And that means I can access them anywhere at any time from almost any device. Let me go ahead and actually share with you my YouTube channel. You guys can poke around that for 2 minutes if you like. You can just sort of see sort of how I organize the information, and that I do highly recommend starting your own YouTube channel just as a really good way to keep your information, keep your video library
Sorry, Frank.
safe.
Sorry. You sent a direct message to me. Could you send it to everyone, please? The link?
Sure. Yeah, you guys can, that's a really good example of how you don't need to be much of a technology wizard to leverage multimedia technology in your classrooms. My students are amazed on a daily basis how much I struggle with technology. And yet I do feel like utilizing it has enhanced my lessons and enhanced my learning outcomes. Is it Jessamine?
Jessamine.
Jessamine. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was helpful. And knowing that that YouTube is, I had never thought about YouTube in that way as a place to like store stuff, but that's brilliant. I like that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I could help. Oh, I think I see another one.
Hey, Frank.
Shannon?
I have a question as well. From when you started, how long did it take to create one video? And now that you've been doing this for years, how long does it take you to create one video now?
That's a super good question. Let me try to answer it as best as I can. So it sort of depends on what my goal is for the video. So for example, when I was making the public speaking videos, I just had noticed from like even students just standing up to introduce themselves that they were all kind of making the same mistakes. So those videos, I banged out all of those in 45 minutes. I went from having nothing to having 5 just demo videos for them to look at, because I really wasn't going for pretty, it was just like, look at these common mistakes that people are making. But if I want to do something a little bit more elaborate, it can take me anywhere between 30 and 45 minutes just to edit one video to my satisfaction. But I really try to make this something that isn't taking up an inordinate amount of my time. I'm not going to lie, if I ever make a viral video, I'll be super happy about it. But that's not the goal. Like, I'm not trying to make something that, for example, I can't imagine that you would want to use videos of me in your classroom. Like, that's really not my goal, is that I'm not hoping to create stuff for other people. This is something I'm creating for me and my classes. They don't have to look polished and perfect. So I would say I never spend more than 45 minutes on a video. And that's if I'm, that's like when I was doing an interview with someone. So it was a longer video and I was adding in like subtitles and things like that. Actually, I'll show you one I made. So we got a new textbook, and the first chapter was weirdly about stative verbs. And so I created this video, and it took all of about 5 minutes to write it, record it, and send it out to the students as homework.
Wow, Sean, does this apartment belong to you?
No, I'm just renting it. I do own this amazing longboard, and I love riding my longboard to school.
Wow, I have a bicycle at my apartment. I like to ride it every weekend.
So you could see that, like, we're literally looking down at the script. We hardly got dressed up for it. I swear I've had a haircut since I made that video. It's not pretty. It's not beautiful, but it's just like we got a new textbook at the last minute. The first chapter was on stative verbs, which I had nothing for. and I needed some sort of homework to send out to the students. And so it's like I just typed something up, said, "Hey Sean, will you read this with me?" We recorded it. Boom. Now I've got homework. So yeah, it really just depends on your own comfort level with your own sense of perfectionism. But yeah, if you're just looking to make some short videos for homework or just for an introduction to each class, 5 minutes is really enough. And when I'm going for something that I want to look a little bit more beautiful, like when I interviewed the guy about Chinese literature, yeah, that one took me 45 minutes to an hour just to edit it. But yeah, it's not a time-consuming process for me, for sure.
Can I ask another question? So
Please.
what video editing software do you use? Like, do you have anything that you would recommend to like me who has never made a video for my classroom? Like, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, yes, I do. I actually edit everything on iMovie. And so in 2020, like almost everyone in the world, my life was highly disrupted by COVID-19. And in fact, my wife and I were trapped in lockdown in Italy for 2 months. And I mean, like, the Italian lockdown was very, very strict. It was like every 3 days you can walk to the grocery store and then go back. So I had about 23 and a half hours a day to stare at the walls, no computer, not even like a tablet computer or anything. And even just on my phone, I was able to use iMovie to make little videos of me, of course, in the apartment, and edit them together so that my students could watch the videos as part of their homework. iMovie has very few bells and whistles, but it has kind of everything that you might want. The desktop version is, of course, better, but even the phone version, it lets you cut the video, it lets you overdub, it lets you remove audio, it lets you add in basic effects. It lets you do pretty much everything you would want to be able to do from a starting position. And it's free and it costs me nothing. It's not perfect, of course, but it has been more than enough for me. I figure someday maybe if I get even better, I would invest in a specific, like, more upgraded software. But iMovie really does do the job, whether you're doing it on your computer or your phone. Now, I guess my caveat is that is bad advice if you do not own a Mac or an iPhone. So I apologize if you're a Samsung person, but that's what I've done all of my stuff with, is just through 100% free software that came standard on devices I already owned. So I hope that answers your question. All right. Okay. Does anyone else have a question? I can only see so many of you. Virginia, you unmuted your camera. Do you have a question?
Are you still using iMovie? Like, is that the basic one? Because I know there's a lot out there, and maybe it's just if you're on Samsung, you don't know what to use, right? Shannon, is that the trouble?
Oh no, I mean, I'm one of those total suckers who knows that other companies make superior technology, and yet I still find myself buying Apple stuff constantly. I am like the worst of technology consumers. I'm like very aware that other companies make better laptops and better iPhones, and then a new iPhone comes out and I'm like, ooh, I gotta have it. Ooh, a new iPhone. So I'm still just using iMovie because I still use all Apple stuff.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually have an assignment in one of my classes where I get the students to make a video, and then I always ask them at the end, what did you use? Like, what software did you use? and all kinds of stuff has come up. So I was just curious if you'd expand it out or not, but okay.
I'm
That's
afraid
fine.
I
Thank
have
you.
not.
That's fine.
Yeah, I do not move fast and break things. I move slowly and still break things.
You sound like somebody I know.
I hope someone who you like.
Yeah, actually, he's one of my favorite people.
Ah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So,
I hope that I know that we're coming down to the last couple of minutes. So I still, if anyone has any more questions, I would love to address them. Or if anyone has just any comments you'd like to share, maybe you've noticed something that was wrong with my videos, or you have a suggestion for how I can improve them. Does anyone have anything that you think you'd like to share with me or like to share with the group? Any comments, questions, ideas, insights? I'd love to hear them.
we do have a couple of minutes left. So if you
Yeah, just a comment. The videos you showed earlier about giving presentations, those would actually be very useful for. I teach a presentation class, and my mind just went that would be a good thing to actually show the class. So I don't know if you're willing to share or not, but it's there. It's up there. Out there.
I totally am. In fact, I'll try to make it a priority over the next couple days. I'll put those together and I'll put them on my YouTube channel so that anyone who's interested in them can just have them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being interested.
This is helpful because I had to make a lot of videos last year, and I think we got a little too concerned with making them perfect. So it became a very frustrating process, but I like the idea of having, of keeping it simple but personal. That's doable. Yeah.
I really passionately believe that, I know that the best teachers I had my entire life were the teachers who were the most passionate about what they were doing. They weren't the best speakers or the most eminent or the ones with the greatest publications. They were the ones who were just interested in what they were doing. And I think that students pick up on that instantly. And something that you made, that you had fun making, that has your personal stamp on it. It doesn't matter how quality it is. Like, the students, they really aren't going to judge that. What they're going to be able to tell is that you liked it, you enjoyed it, that you have a personal connection to this topic, this field, this class. And I think that'll help them to develop a connection to it as well. It's so easy to look at. I mean, I have friends that do this at a more professional level. A friend of mine actually in Korea has started a pretty successful online English teaching website, and he does it as a job, and his videos look beautiful, perfect. I mean, this guy's a good actor, he's a good speaker, he's got all this technology, he's got the studio set up, and it's so easy to look at something like that and think, I don't have time for this. I can't do that. But he's doing it as a job. Like, that's his whole job. Of course they look good. Really, you can make something that just uses, like, I just have a curtain behind me as a background. It does the job. Like, it's the students will like it because it has you in it, has their teacher in it.
all right. Well, sorry to interrupt your wrap up, Frank, but I do have a couple of announcements that I do have to make. So I want to say thank you so very much for a very interesting presentation and for answering everybody's questions. And I want to thank the audience for interacting with Frank as well. Can I please ask everyone to unmute and offer a round of applause?
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I do need to announce the Easter egg for the Easter egg hunt. It's egg number 7, inside out. So one more time, egg number 7, inside out. Thank you very much for coming to this session, and I hope you are enjoying the conference. Hope you will continue to enjoy the conference. If you would like to chat a little bit more on this topic, then please join us on Discord. And thank you very much. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much for having me today. I had a wonderful time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye all.
I will stop the recording now.